This is live in Atlanta. Taking a look at that podium, we're excited to welcome Bill Belichick up. We will have MVP Julian Edelman joining us as well. We'll bring that to you live right here on NFL Network. Welcome to Good Morning Football. We're all cozy, casual on this Monday. Shregs has no voice. Did you confirm whether or not 2 Chainz was the performer?
I'm told it was the Chainsmokers and Snoop. That is the rumor now.
Okay.
I like the Chainsmokers.
I was going to say.
They sound like a chain smoker.
Pretty much connected, right?
They are.
I think so, yeah. Because Snoop is a chain smoker.
Because I sound like a chain
I smell.
smoker. You can tweet
Patty
the
and
show
Selma
at hashtag GMFB. What would you ask Bill Belichick at that presser?
I would say, Coach, tell us about the emotions that you're feeling right now. It's all I want is whether it's pride or happiness or smugness. I'll take anything. He's kind of like the father of the bride the day after the wedding. You got to be proud, right? They only scored 3 points, Bill. Please tell us the emotions and tell us your thoughts on the Chainsmokers. Peter loves them.
But he was proud and sort of different at the rehearsal dinner to the wedding, too, leading up to this media Super Bowl opening night, which we had here on NFL Network. He was a little jovial, a little more jovial than usual.
Yeah, the fact that him and Sean McVay are text buddies, I'm curious to listen to the interaction between the two or see the interaction. You want to know about the emotions. Tell us about the emojis that you sent Sean McVay after kicking his butt.
I need to know that.
He gave him a wedgie, a wet willy, gave him a noogie, and said, hey, get off the schoolyard, man. You're not big enough.
Well, it is Georgia. Maybe send one of those peach emojis with a little kissing next to it.
That's it.
You're right about that.
Yeah, I think Belichick has been on these things so many times, and yet, Kay, I agree. I feel like there was a different energy this week. I think he found a way to get another motivational tactic in his belt, and that motivational tactic was the nobody believes in us deal. Mm-hmm. We're still here, all that stuff. That doesn't just start with Brady. That comes from above. That's Belichick. I would like to see how he feels about this year's team as opposed to others, because of all the 9 teams, Kyle, you've been very poignant on this all week. The roster, the names, there aren't that many that you'd say are standout Hall of Famers.
I think they've had much better rosters that have lost Super Bowls.
You're fair.
That have actually won this one, which makes it all the better. We talked about it last segment. I just don't see the horses out there. Like, on offensively, there's nobody who goes deep. On defensively, there's no one who's like, well, that's the all-pro. They're just all good together. 9 times the Super Bowl. This is talent team number 9, and they just won this thing.
And I'm sure he'll be asked about Rob Gronkowski. We'll see if he actually says anything, but I'm sure he'll dish out tons of respect for Flores as well, a guy who he's going to have to make adjustments next year, starting the season without him.
That's the wild part. Usually ends so ugly when Belichick disciples go to a team in the AFC East. Think about Eric Mangini a couple years ago. That did not end pretty. Did not go pretty.
You're right.
And now Flores is going to Miami, the arch rival who actually has the Patriots number when they play down in Miami. Fascinating to see that dynamic. I'm sure he's very proud of Brian Flores. He said it yesterday in the press conference. But you have to turn the page. That's your rival right now. That's your nemesis.
Well, of course, hear from the Rams, I think, then tomorrow, and they have to hit the podium and talk about what went wrong while the Patriots are on those duck boats all the way back up in Foxborough, which we'll be bringing you coverage of on NFL Network at 11 a.m. Eastern. That is right, the victory parade, the ducks, the duck boats, all of it. So Edelman will also be joining us at the podium. MVP for the first time. He has 6 100-yard receiving games in the postseason. We're even having Hall of Fame discussions about him.
Yeah, and we're going to continue to do it. Welcome to the offseason. I think he's got a hell of a case. He got a lot better last night. And there's Vince.
There it is. There he is, Vince and
Selfie.
What does Scott Hansen say? It's 2 feet tall. It weighs 7 pounds of Tiffany Sterling silver. He has the perfect breakdown for that thing.
7 pounds.
Yeah,
26 inches. Yeah, it was pretty dramatic yesterday in the game.
You know, we have such a creative staff here at Good Morning Football.
Yes.
They're always producing us and giving us suggestions for content. I was given a joke that I should do on the
please
air,
recite it.
all right? So, Kay, ask me what I thought about the Rams offense.
Hey, what'd you think of the Rams offense?
I mean, 3 points. Even Maroon had 5.
Ooh.
That was given to me by our staff. Best in the business.
Craig
I won't
Jermaine.
name names.
Craig Jermaine special.
Whoever told you that.
It was germane to the conversation, whatever it was.
That person's walking home.
Hamilton, you're fired.
Hey, Craig, Nate just fired you on national TV. There he is.
You
can
even
tweet the
Maroon
show.
had 5 because the band's called Maroon
Tweet the
5.
show at hashtag
I don't think they got it.
GMFB with
Let's
your
follow you.
MVP, what you thought about the defense sort of taking over this game. There are some takes out on Twitter that, it was a boring Super Bowl. I didn't feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
If you love the sport, what else could you want but this defensive show?
It's almost like the test at the psychologist's office or the therapy office. Like, if you see it this way.
Rorschach?
The Rorschach.
Whatever
It says more about you. Like, that was really a chess match and it was the chess master serving the lunch to the kid and the pupil. I mean, it was something. And that trophy right there will be going to New England yet again.
You know why it was great? The defensive game. Because we were coming off the heels of last year's Super Bowl, such a high-scoring affair. And then we go into the season where Pat Mahomes throws 50 touchdowns. It seems like every other offense is putting up 40 points. And then we come into the biggest game of the year, and defense shows up. I'm sitting next to Bill Cowher all day, and the smile on his face, because this is old school, hard-nosed, hard-fought game. I loved it. Even being an offensive player, I loved it. Great X's and O's.
From the Chainsmokers and Snoop Dogg, Bill Belichick went from hanging out with them all night long to hanging out with us here on NFL Network. Bill Belichick is here live in Atlanta. There's Julian Edelman, of course. He'll be on his way to Disney World as a Super Bowl MVP. And it looks like a pretty happy Bill walking up to the podium nearby in Atlanta. Now, he's having a seat here.
Get up there, Bill.
Maybe he's getting
Oh, Mr. Goodell.
Oh, Commissioner Goodell stepping up to the podium. Let's send it over live.
I feel like I just did this. Congratulations, obviously, to the Patriots. 6 Super Bowls and just incredible success that they've had. To Robert Kraft and his family, of course, Coach Belichick, all the great players. Just an amazing, amazing achievement. It's just extraordinary to see what they've done. We're here, though, this morning, even though I think everyone will look at the Patriots and say just an incredible organization as well as team effort. This morning is about the MVP. Julian Edelman is now the 7th wide receiver to get that honor. Well-deserved, extraordinary performance, not just last night, but his performance in postseason has been simply off the charts. I think he has 115 postseason career receptions, which is, I believe, second to a guy named Jerry Rice, which is a pretty good company. But Julian, congratulations. Come on up and get your trophy.
Thank you.
Couple words?
Yeah, we do have microphone questions.
It's an absolute honor to get this award. But honestly, I'm just so proud of the group of guys that we had this year, with the ups and downs that we all had, with just the ebbs and flows of a season. And when you play a whole year, you see how the team shapes up, and to see how this team grinded and worked each week. When things weren't at its best, to constantly try to go out and improve, just shows what kind of group of guys it was this year, the 2018 Patriots. Resilient group, and one you're never going to forget. So, it was unbelievable.
Julian, with the Boston 25 News, I'm Mark Ockerblum. I just want to ask, you missed last year with the ACL. You come back this year, have a 4-game suspension. Talk about fighting back through adversity and coming out on the other end as the Super Bowl MVP. What did that mean to you through all the work that you put in?
I mean, you don't really have, I haven't really got to sit back and think about it. I've been kind of trained, being in New England, to always look what's on your plate at the time. And, when you get hurt, you're competing against yourself each day to try to get your knee better. You're walking one day, and you're jogging one day, and you're doing a cut one day. And those little wins build confidence, and you're worrying about that. And then when you start to play, you're trying to get back in the flow of things, and you're trying to see where you're at, and you're thinking about that, and you're thinking about winning games, and you're thinking about going out and try to contribute, and just try to improve each week. And, you're not really thinking about those types of things. Maybe in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to sit back and then think about that. But, by then we'll be starting up, so.
Right here, Julian. Chris Hogan got pretty emotional talking about you and your relationship last night. I'm just curious what your relationship, what your friendship has meant to you, and did you share a moment last night to kind of talk about what it's meant to kind of run this last couple of years with him?
Yeah, Hogs is like a brother. He's a tough guy. He's a great team player, great guy in the locker room. Just does what he, just goes out and does what he does. And, I'm super proud of him. He's fought through a lot. The guy's a lacrosse player. Now he's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. And he's a big part of my life because, we got to share this stuff together.
You don't hear. Tell us about your experience with these facts, number 2 on receptions, number 2 in yards, but also on returning punts. Tell us, how can you describe this being a wide receiver, a punt returner, and at the end of the day, an MVP for the Super Bowl?
So, what am I? What?
Yeah. Wide receiver and also a punt returner.
Well, special teams is what allowed me to get an opportunity to play in this league. I take that with a lot of pride, getting to play on that play, playing that unit. And I guess you just, you change your mindset and you prepare each week. You got to learn the punter, what he does, his strengths, his weaknesses, where his tendencies are, and then you go into offensive meetings and you turn on a different switch and you start preparing for, as this week, Peters, Talib, and Roby, and you just go and you turn that on. So, I hope I answered that question.
Paul Woody, Richmond Times-Dispatch, Richmond, Virginia. Julian, we've heard this week a lot about grinding and about the hard work and practice and the demanding practices you guys go through. Are there ever moments in practice when you aren't grinding? Are there ever times when you guys relax, just have a laugh during practice?
Yeah, we go out and we have fun, but, that's work. Just as you guys are over here, got your pens and papers and your recorders and you're recording, you're doing your job. Ours is going out and playing football, and, there's only 16 games in a football season. So those practices are like mini games because you can't afford to go out and mess up a game, go in a 3-game slump like in a baseball team or a basketball team. Every game's so valuable. So the intensity of our practices, they're definitely high, but, there's definitely joking around. There's definitely times where, your coach has got to tell you, hey, pick it up. That's natural.
Dennis Müller, Pro7 Germany. Tom Brady already got 4 Super Bowl MVP trophies. What did he say about you this time being the Super Bowl MVP?
He just said he was proud of me. And that was big. He's been an unbelievable guy to learn from. As a football player, as a professional, as a family man, the guy's all in, and that trickles down when you see leaders of your team do that, and it shows guys like when I was a young guy. Hey, he's Tom Brady. He's bringing in a quarterback coach still, and he's a 3-time Super Bowl winning champion at the time, and still putting in the hours. And that can be said the same with our coach. I remember going in and seeing Coach. I don't know if he remembers this, but I was a rookie, and it was like 11 o'clock at night. And by the grace of God, we were walking out at the same time. And I probably said maybe 3 words to him at the time. Before that, I was on the team for like 6 months. And I just looked at him because I saw him on the treadmill, watching film at 10 o'clock at night. I go, Coach, you sure like football, huh? He goes, it beats being a plumber. See you tomorrow. So, when you're seeing at the time, he was a 3-time Super Bowl winning coach, head coach, and 2-time winning assistant coach. You see guys do that. If it's going to rub off, and if it doesn't, you're probably not going to be there.
Julian, good morning. Congratulations. Federico Olvera, Radio 13, Mexico City. Julian, what was your favorite play last night, and who do you dedicate this championship to?
My favorite play was the last play when we took a knee. That was my favorite play, and I dedicate this one to my family, my little girl, my pops, my moms, my brother and my sister, people that have helped me get to where I'm at, people that have supported me my whole life, not only in the high times but the low times, people that have been in my corner. Yeah, it's for them, and my little girl Lily, 2 years old, so it's for them.
Thank you, Julian.
Yep.
Okay. Coach Belichick has had an extraordinary amount of success. He's now won his 6th Super Bowl, which is more Super Bowls than any other coach. I think when you look back in our 99-year history on NFL championships, there's only 2 other coaches that have